And it's go time to talk Miami football with all of you on a Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sitting right next to Cam Underwood. Well, not literally, geographically, but you know, got the deal. State of the U is the destination with Cam and the crew every day. We ask you for an hour right here on Wednesday night at the Voice of College Football talking Canes. Cam, how you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Can't really complain. Can't find my, there we go. Sorry, I switched windows to Twitter just to retweet the tweets on there and everything. But yeah, here. Glad to see you. Good to be with y'all as we move deeper into June, into the off season, and downhill. I mean, we're not downhill towards the season yet, but we're getting there.
We're somewhere in the 70-day range. There are all sorts of folks out there keeping count every day, posting old players, jersey numbers, and that sort of thing. Our guy Jackson, who pops on here quite often, is all over that. He can tell you, okay, week 0 is this many days, and then the next Thursday night, and then Saturday, and then Miami, Notre Dame. It's around 70 days, folks. About 10 weeks to go. So it's coming up, but the grind is about recruiting right now for the Miami football staff for the most part, and a number of camps going on. So Cam is available, of course, to take your comments and questions concerning recruiting first and foremost, but anything concerning the Miami football team, past, present, or future. And so we will get on that. Was there anything in this past week's litany of camps that caught your eye?
Well, you had there were several of first offers that went out. You had the opening of communication with the 2027 recruiting class was Sunday or Monday, I believe. So you saw coaches all over America. Hey, 27s, what's up? Talk to me. Da 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 da. And a lot of targets and even commitments. Posting out all the edits and the contacts. Thanks, Coach Kenton Dobson, the third from Norland, the commitment in next year's class, the cornerback who committed previously on his late mother's birthday. He put out all the stuff. He's like, yo, appreciate Miami with all the edits and everything, yada, yada, yada. So, you got that going on. But, starting that class, coming up into focus in earnest, but really looking to lock down that 2026 class and everything. Yeah, I would say that would be it. And there's probably somebody in the comments who's going to remind me of something that's fleeting from my memory at the moment.
Well, let's get this important note out of the way to kick us off. Falconer TRX, thank you so much for the contribution. We appreciate you so much. And a host of others. Kenson showing up.
Kensonian Institute. Yep, down there. My guy AJ on deployment, watching live. Appreciate you, my boy. Hope you stay safe over there and everything. My cousin is in the military. He went to West Point, him and his lovely wife. They just had their second child 4 days ago. Did my cousin and his wife, but deployed over, away several times. Did both my cousin and his wife. So been through that and everything. And yeah, wish you the best, man. And appreciate you, serving the country.
AJ,
because it wasn't going to be me. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I can't imagine the commitment. So thank you, sir, and everyone watching, listening right now who has served or had served. Absolutely. Falconer TRX, Cam and Mark, getting me over the hump day. We are doing the best we can.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm all over the place talking over you today, Mark. But yeah, just hey, having a good time here. But yeah, Falconer, appreciate you. Oh yeah, there are a lot of people down here celebrating back-to-back Stanley Cup championships with the Sunrise Panthers that play out there by the outlet mall by Sawgrass Mills and everything. So yeah.
All right, guys, leave those comments and questions there in the chat. You'll have to make sure you drown out George, and George knows I say that with a wink. We love George, but you can't let him take over the chat, because if given any opportunity, he most definitely will, despite 41-17. He is undaunted. He
I
is
mean,
undaunted.
I was going to use a Florida State thing against him. Shucks. I would say they're definitely not unconquered because we conquered, but that's Florida State type stuff. I will say one thing that I did find interesting on the recruiting trail. Miami did offer a 6'4" quarterback from the good old state of Connecticut. And then I made an allusion to Tyler Van Dyke. He goes to one of the many other prep schools. However, you'll remember this name. Remember Josh Jobe, who was at Columbus and aged out and transferred up and then went to Alabama and plays in the league. This player, I don't know his name. I haven't looked at the highlights, but he goes to the prep school that Josh Jobe went to, not to the one that Tyler Van Dyke went to. And I got that wrong with my whole chest on the Magic Twitter machine. But, hey, these things happen.
Speaking of Florida State, since you brought up that school, I'll bring up their football program. I posted something. This was about 2 weeks ago. I was hoping to get you and others riled up or stirred up or in a combative mode. I posted some kind of confrontation between a old Miami player and old Florida State player. And I basically just I was going to put a litany of statistics up there on both sides, because when you really look at the football histories, it's a close call if you're going to make a call on the greater program all time. They both have their go-tos, their check marks in the column. And of course, both rose to fame and prominence within the same 3 to 4 years. It's pretty remarkable, really, if you look at the history.
It is. I saw it. I was actually having a couple conversations on Twitter at that time. Not worth it. I was just, no, I'm not even going to do it. Like, whatever. Look, they are, again, I at least respect Florida State. I will not say that about those people in Alachua County. Miami leads that series 36-33 and 5 championships to 3. I will just put that out there, right? So they are a close rival and competitor in things. But if you're doing the thing where, we're making an ordinal list and there has to be a 1 followed by a 2, Miami's the one. So, and I mean, they've had some great players. We've had more great players. There are some of their great players who don't sniff the all-time Miami too deep. Some of their very, very, very tip-top players, in fact. All of that is, I believe that to be true. And I think that, the performances stand out to be that. So, yeah, I mean, I did see that. I saw, there were, people on their bold predictions. Daniel Quintavious Cannell, who, podcasts elsewhere. Sorry, that's Danny Cannell on, you know him. But he was saying that Miami would miss a bowl game this year is his bold prediction. And I'm just like, bro, like, come on. Like, be for real, my guy. You know what I mean? That's going to pop up over my face again. Because this... Not Mark's fault, but just issues continue to abound this evening. Anyways, but
you see what's happening, right?
I do. I see. Yeah, because I'm looking at that and not over me. But like, yeah, it's just like, dude, and you just, and that was kind of one of the things that led me into I think the pendulum was swung too far on Carson Beck is super duper trash talk that was around like last week or in previous weeks and things like that. I'm like he's 24-3 with numbers that I've spouted to you of nearly 8,000 yards and 60 touchdowns nearly across 2 years starting in some change, or 7,000, whatever it is. But this guy is so prolific. We're just, come on, stop it, bro. But things like that. Yeah. And this is the tweet that Mark put out. I mean, if I were in a combative mood, I would have. And I muted it because there were a couple of Noel people who were just, congratulating themselves on and being very selective You know what I mean? Like, oh, we had that run with Dalvin Cook and those boys and everything. Did. Absolutely. But like holistically, overall, better program all time, as was the prompt. If you're looking in such a narrow window, I think that you've missed the heart of the question. And then, hey, if you just want to like talk about your team and like talk down about the other, yo, do that. But like, I'm so sorry. I just saw Kids' last message, and it just made me laugh. I don't know why. I have no idea. And Smitty, better players to go pro. Oh my God! Like, yeah, I was just talking about in college. I wasn't even going on the path into the NFL. Although I would say that Florida State has had more successful alumni on the gridiron in football than the school with the highest bust rate of NFL draft picks, your George Florida Gators. You know what I mean? Like I did. Hey, CBS did the numbers, NFL.com did the numbers, PFF did the. I didn't come up with the numbers. I didn't do that. But hey, and again, and I'm not saying that every Florida State player was incredible, nor every Miami player, but hey, so, whatever. But we will, get there and just continue to move forward. And Lord Jesus, Miami a hockey school. Oh yeah, because it's funny that George mentions that because the club hockey team won a national championship for Miami this year. And when I was a senior, I believe, or it might have been my 5th year or last semester when I was student teaching, one of those, there was a guy who lived on my floor who spearheaded starting the club hockey team that years hence has now won the club hockey national championship. Crazy. Wow. Stop. I'm not going to go down that road. Stop. Door closed. Anyway, let's get back to football.
I put out one of these posts for Ohio State, Michigan, and it just ran wild.
See,
like it was crazy.
The thing that I try to tell my good friend Fred is because he's from down here. He's a Miami fan. We host a show together, and he'll call me on the phone and we'll talk about stuff. And he'll bring up the Acorns, and I'm like, I get so I'm from Michigan. I don't do this, and like I don't mess with them. And he's like, yo, you get so mad. And I'm like, Hatfields and McCoys, we fought a war for the Toledo corridor, guys. Like this is it is. And I mean, you're on the other side of this. As well as I do. Very, very different. Even the in-state Miami versus Florida, Miami versus Florida State, Florida State. It is, no. Like I could see why throwing this, Molotov cocktail at Miami and Florida State, we kind of just laugh at it and keep chugging cafecito or whatever. But you do that with Michigan O State. Oh yeah. I know that did numbers.
Like, yeah, to the tune of like 200,000+ impressions kind of thing.
Easily.
And so I thought, and I will admit, hey, for as much as I love college football and love Stern, and I love the history of the sport and all those things. So I enjoy doing this, but I'm also, I've transitioned my personal account to the official account, and I'm trying to build a Twitter because I'm like down at 400 and I just started. So that's part of it too. That's part of the incentive. So I thought, hey, I caught something here. I'm going to start tapping these rivalries, but not so much on this one. We'll try again.
Been there, did that, the same organic growth path with the State of the U Twitter. I mean, the Ask Me Anythings, your least favorite player from the other, like all the, the social media farming audience engagement type. Yeah, I get it. I saw it for what it was. And like, at first I was like, man, and I was just like, I was in a good mood. I was like kind of multitasking, watching another show that I should have watched a while ago when it was, as it was progressing or whatever, but getting caught up on that. And I was just like, I'm just, doing work over here, doing this, quintuple tasking. I was just like, I'm going to let that slide.
We've got Paolo saying, like Boughton once said, quote, at least we played Miami.
That ditto echo. I can't say it better myself, Paulo.
We had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. We didn't really dive into it, but I know that both of us had our perspectives on it. And I got to say, as somebody who is an Ohio State fan, and I don't trumpet that out there because I like to stay neutral and stay away from it, but it's known that there was a time, certainly in the early '90s, especially to mid '90s, that wow, this sport was tipping to the Sunshine State in a direction that was like, wow, this is scary. This doesn't look good for everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean that southern migration has continued. All right, let's look for something or just Kenson, ay mi corazón, you're crazy, my guy. Let's transition then into more not pressing topics, but in the world of recruiting, we are coming down to our final official visit weekend of this cycle. So any official visits or unofficial, any campus visit that you want to make needs to be concluded by end of business. Well, not end of business, but end of the day, Sunday. And then there's a dead period, so there's no visits in either direction. So you're not visiting players at their schools, and players are not coming to campus or anything, unless you're Trooper Taylor and Florida and breaking rules to flip Brandon Powell during a dead period. But hey, you got to get all of these done, and this is why spring official visits. This has been this window, and the next time that you can see players in person really is September 1st. I believe is when that, or 2nd, the day after Labor Day, is when that gets lifted. Actually, no, it's the 1st. It's on the holiday. Miami needs to continue to push for a lot of top talents. Speaking of top talents and Miami, their quarterback commitment in this class, Darion Coleman, is in LA for the Elite 11. Excuse me, I had a sparkling water earlier that was fighting back. But the kid is confident in nothing else. Now, if you saw the picture of him with all of the offensive linemen who visited last week, because he did take his official visit last weekend, because he's in LA for the Elite 11 this weekend. It definitely had one of these things is not like the other vibes, because you had 6'8" Jackson Cantwell, 6'7" Joel Irvin, 6'6" Brett College, 6'4" Cannon Pickett, and then barely 6 foot tall Darion Coleman in the middle of those four. So it was very much like the Giants and the little guy in the middle. He's not the biggest in physical stature, but the kid can spin it and rip it, man. He has great arm talent. One of, if not the quickest release in this class overall at quarterback. That ball gets out of there real quick. And to Kenson's statement in the chat talking about confident indeed, he did an interview. Obviously, all the quarterbacks, they sat with the 247 sports guys because they're kind of the lead media outlet that's there in terms of presentation and whatnot at the Elite 11. And he was just like, I asked what he brings, and he said, look, you saw what happened at Miami with Cam Ward, and Darion Coleman fashions himself to have very similar skill set, which I have heard from others in the space, and said, yeah, so think about what I can do at the controls with 3 or 4 years that he did with only one, and we're similar type players. Boom, boom, boom. He did end that up with, we're going to win a national championship, which I was going to blog about, but there's been so many recruits say that. I mean, you got to have the confidence to be able to go and have the kind of performance. But yeah, he's out there doing that. I saw 247 had him ranked 8th out of the 20 24 players who are out there for the 11 this week. We will see. I'm really interested for the video and feedback from today on Wednesday night. They are doing the pro day workout where they have the scripted pro day workout. I can't call it anything other than, the word to define the word. but yeah, I'm really excited to see what he does there and just continue to track him through his senior season. Very excited to have him in this class. Were you going to say something? Because I was going to go into some of the visits.
I am going to, while you do that, going to the channel to check out comments for the week to see if anything sparks
Love that. Love
a
that.
conversation.
Cool. Last weekend, huge visitors. Calvin Russell from Miami Northwestern, Jay Lamar from Colquitt County, Georgia, the running back, Ty Javion, given name. Zion Robinson from Kentucky, a big 6'3" receiver. Blake Stewart from Woodward Academy in Georgia. Israel Briggs from California, a tight end who has moved up his commitment date as Mr. Briggs, and that is going to be next Tuesday, actually. And I believe it is Miami or LSU for the six. I mean, he's like a big receiver. He's like 6'5", 210 right now. But a couple protein shakes, hit the squat rack, deadlift a little bit, and then you're going to be in that 220, 230 range. And then, you're a little bit lighter than Elijah Arroyo kind of a thing. So, he was another person who visited, and he's from California, by the way, if I didn't say that. Tyron Evans, who's committed, a 6'3", 200-pound receiver committed to Tennessee. Orlando Edgewater linebacker Justin Edwards committed to Rutgers. There were so many guys that were, around. Reese Woodrow, JJ Sparks, two of the offensive line commits were on campus as well. And, just another week of huge numbers and quality of official visitors. So, when you look at all of the blue chippers that have been through Miami this spring, I think that all of the commitments that are going to be forthcoming starting like next week are really going to start to shape what this class, like the potential overall for how high this class can fly towards being number one in America, which I don't think is a crazy hope, but might be, it's aspirational if nothing else. You know what I mean? Definitely looking top 5. If you are up there and you do, win a couple battles, you could be, number 1. So I think that these commitments that are coming up in the next little bit are really going to tell the story. In the past, it was Miami versus Alabama on the recruiting trail. Now that seems to be, let me stop. In terms of pursuing elite 5 stars and like top blue chip talents, it was Miami versus Alabama for years. I wrote a piece about it several years ago where Miami actually, went 50-50-ish. I think they were a little bit over 50% head-to-head against Alabama, with the major caveat that there were 78 dudes on that roster that wouldn't even return Miami's phone call in terms of recruiting. So the ones that you went for, you were fairly successful, but there was a whole caliber and class of recruit and player on that roster that wouldn't even pay any attention. It's a similar type thing with Georgia. We're still trying to get all the way up into that level, but there's a lot of head-to-heads right now. Already beat them head up for Jackson Cantwell, Chris Ewald in the last class. They beat us for Tyreek Stevenson years ago, and then he came back down here. And there's many, 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 many others along those lines. And there's several in this class as well, that Miami and Georgia are going head up for. It'll be interesting to see what shakes out at running back. Javion Mallory actually visited Alabama last weekend, and Derek Cooper visited Miami 2 weeks ago, and then Jay Lamar last week. Between those 3, I think you need 2. Miami would take all 3. I don't think you have spots for all 3. But you got to get 2 of those 3. So, it's always a thing. And, Mario said, if you're looking, we're looking. So, we want Javion Mallory. If he's looking, we're looking. And, any permutation of 2 of 3 of that would be great. But I think you really got to have Derek Cooper and one of the other two is really where that goes. But Derek Cooper also being recruited by who? Georgia. Tyjavian Lamar, who's from Georgia, I'm sorry, Jay Lamar, also from Georgia, being recruited by Georgia, so like there's the other two running backs of those three, and there's many, many, many more. So, Miami's done, I think, a good job setting the foundation for this class. Really, really need to close. And I saw that there were a bunch of people saying, what is that? It's, when you get out ahead of the crash, you know what I mean? Or the whatever the event, I have seen, heard, and read several people talking about, Calvin Russell wouldn't surprise me if, it's LSU or somebody that's not Miami for him. And when you see it once and it's from like the other side, you're like, okay, well, and then you see it from, more people in the recruiting space and even more Miami centric people in the recruiting space and, things like that. There's a lot of smoke to that. I think it would be not a great look to have Tristan Keys and Calvin Russell go to LSU, forestalling, forewarning Kenson. Yeah, it just but like I said, I saw heard and read all of those things. Yeah, a couple few instances of people being like, Calvin Russell in Miami is probably not going to happen. So, soft pedaling early, getting that out there so that if and when, again, as the smoke continues to build, it seems like when that happens, yeah, be ready and accepting of that kind of a thing.
For one thing, folks, thank you so much for the compliments that come in to Cam and myself during the week. I guess I don't see all of those. We got about 40 channels, so my apologies. But no, even when we don't respond, that we appreciate your comments, questions, and also that you like the show. You don't necessarily like the simulations sometimes when there are funky players in there and funky scores and formations and schemes that I see that a lot. So anyway, a lot there about Butch Davis being much better than what his legacy has shown, and Larry Coker not so much. A lot of that there. The one thing going forward, yeah, there's a lot that, Larry Coker just inherited everything and so forth. A lot of that concerning historical discussions that we've had about the 2017 team versus the 2024 team and such. The thing that I will hit Cam on, there we go, is, and you've made the comparisons of Carson Beck, not to expect Cam Ward, but that he's a capable, fine quarterback. The two things that were pointed out a few times here, do you think we have enough to go on to make a comparison between the two when it comes to leadership skills? Number one. Number two, somebody made the point that Xavier Restrepo is going to be mightily missed.
I need to see more here at Miami from Carson Beck as a leader. Not that he's not leading, it's just he hasn't really been here that long. You know what I mean? But I mean, he was one of the leaders of that Georgia team for several years. And I think that he has, well honed that ability. It manifests itself differently than Cam Ward, and that's fine. But yeah, I think that he is a great performer. I think that he's a very good leader as well. And I just think it's going to take more time for that to take root here in Miami. It's like, Falconer, we're going to go to your landscaping corner for a moment. If you have a field or you have your lawn and you have some bald spots, or you have an area that you want to kind of redo, you'll put down sod, and they do it at the stadium, where you take, pre-grown slats and you put them down, and they look great, right? And they serve the purpose of like filling in, so you have green grass, but the roots aren't there. It's not from. It's like it's guest starring in your lawn. It's not your lawn from day one. That's what I think about Carson Beck. I think that he fits. I think he looks the part. I think that he is all of those things, but he's a piece of sod right now. He's not when we built the house, the first laying of seed, and it's grown and it's always been there. He's not that at Miami, and that's okay because he is a transfer in. And yeah, I think you would have said similar for Cam Ward, but I think also just with the vocal nature of Cam, and it's not even like he's a super rah-rah guy, but I just think he was a little bit more vocal than Carson Beck. I think that, and especially the other elephant in the room is Carson Beck came in injured. Cam Ward came in and hooped during spring right away. And so it was every day I'm out there leading by example, but then I'm talking that talk because I played against you when I was at Wazoo and you were at Washington, Mish Powell, and now you didn't get there because I ripped that to Restrepo. And then it had a different presence because he had a different presence performance-wise on the field that Carson Beck simply could not have recovering from his injury. So I think that there are things that are similar between those two. I just think it will take maybe a little bit longer, especially coming back off the injury, to really see it in action.
You addressed,
and then the Restrepo. Yeah. I mean, he's all-time career leading receiver here in Miami. Of course he's going to be missed. Mike Harley was missed. Charleston Rambo was missed. I mean, you can look at a lot of guys. I mean, Colby Young, he was missed. But not irreplaceable. And none of those guys are irreplaceable. But I do think that he will be missed. And, as Restrepo continues just to get open and make plays, and seems like he has an inside track to being a UDFA to make that roster in Tennessee. It just continues to show and prove that, he's not. You can talk about a lot of things that he's not, but he's super tough. He catches darn near everything. He competes his butt off all the time. And he has just a natural sense to getting open. And yeah, you need guys to get into the end zone and jump over somebody in the NFL. You also need guys to move the chains. Case in point, my favorite team, the Detroit Lions, Josh Reynolds dropped a ball that hit him in both hands on 4th and 2 in the NFC Championship game in 2023. Or 24. The 23-24 season. We get that. You go in. You're already up in San Francisco, right, and everything. But you needed to move the chains at that point of the game. Guy got open, hit him in both hands. The ball hit the ground. Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th down more than anybody. Turnover on downs, they're going the other way. We all know what happens. Eventually, it's Super Bowl without the Detroit Lions, which has been every Super Bowl that has never had the Detroit Lions, but we were that far, like one catch really away. I know it was early in the third quarter. What I don't care. You catch that ball, move the sticks. I'm very confident we win that game. Sub in somebody with Xavier Restrepo's skill set, not even saying his physicality, but just on 4th and whatever, that he's going to catch it and get there. Now, I know that there are some people going to say, well, Cam on 4th in the ball game against Syracuse, he fumbled that ball. Nobody's perfect. But I believe that, and I even believe he caught that ball and the defender at Syracuse made an incredible play to punch it out, right? But he didn't let that ball hit the ground as it was coming to him from the quarterback, a la some other people. So yeah, you need guys to do that. You obviously need, and he provided the chain moving for Miami, and because it's college, added a level of explosivity that I didn't think Xavier Restrepo had. So you're going to need to replace all that. Again, Miami's top 5 receivers are gone, or 6. Excuse me. and 5 of them are, playing professional football. So, and the other one transferred to Alabama. So, there's a lot of turnover. So, I mean, Xavier Restrepo and others will be missed.
It was not stated by the viewer in the question, but I almost read it between the lines. I think he also meant that because of the style player he is and was for Miami, and you alluded to it, he was almost Miami's version of Hunter Renfrow, let's say. Like if you look at the great wide receiver programs of the last 10 years, for as great as Ohio State's been, as great as Alabama's been, I don't remember them having that guy like that, Hunter Renfrow, Xavier Restrepo kind of guy in the slot.
No, because they're all just taking it off. They're taking off over the top on you all the time. But yeah, just the workman, just the guy, the middle reliever who can throw 3 innings on Tuesday, take a day off, and throw 4 innings on Thursday. Just getting out, ground ball, pitch to contact. Not going to strike a lot of guys out, but all of a sudden, like, hey, infield's playing pepper. We're ground, ball, the outfield just making routine catches because this guy just goes and does the thing that needs to be done. Yeah, like those. Now, I mean, I would love it if we had some, just blur over the top guys. That would be wonderful. But in missing those, yeah, I think that's a fair and apt comparison.
Just because I got you here, and I know you're a baseball guy, and this just popped in my head because you went with the baseball analogy of a workhorse in the middle of a bullpen. I saw a stat the other day. Nolan Ryan on this date, whatever the date was, about 2 weeks ago in 1973, threw 256 pitches. I looked it up on baseballreference.com.
Jeez, sauce.
In like 13 innings, he didn't miss a start, and he pitched 5 complete games out of a 6-start stretch during that time.
Man, that is a time gone by. Also, it was the 6 something year anniversary of the Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game.
Ooh,
Which was incredible. I think it was 26. It was like 99. I want to say that happened. Yeah, so it was the summer after my junior year of high school. And I remember watching it. We talked about this the other week about just throwing on WGN or throwing on TBS. And I was like, okay, yeah, there's this big Texas high school, draft pick fireballer. And, my father, God rest his soul, he was from Chicago, even though he's a White Sox fan, South Side, West Side. But we watched that game. I remember it. I missed the first strikeout. But yeah, watch that game. And it was just to make a baseball do the wiffle ball things that were done. And also I watched the Roger Clemens 20 strikeout game on Pass Sports back in Detroit years ago because he did that at old Tiger Stadium against the Tigers. So I've seen a couple of those. But yeah.
I was in the newsroom at WCBI in Columbus, Mississippi, watching the Kerry Wood game, and he was good after that, but he never could throw that wiffle ball. I don't know. Did that put that much stress on his arm that he had to back off throwing that ridiculous?
He got TJ. He got Tommy John after that.
Yeah.
So I mean that's really, but yeah, that last final curveball to Derek Bell, man. Whew, Jesus. And Dave's here. Did y'all watch the Arkansas no-hitter in the College World Series the other day? I watched the last few innings. Yeah, did. And that was pretty electric. And everything. An interesting call on the first out of the 9th. But I think it was the right one, basically saying if you don't try to get out of the way of a pitch now, it can be a strike. And the batter turned, but he kind of chicken winged that elbow a little bit. But it was 1-2. And so like I heard the broadcaster was like, how was that an out and everything? It was like, it's not an out automatically. It's an extra strike. You had 2 strikes. Give him a strikeout. It ended up being 19 strikeouts. Anyways, there was all that. We beat Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor in our CWS championship. Nice.
Pryor was with USC. I don't remember where.
Kerry Wood didn't go to college.
I didn't think he did.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think it was somebody else. But anyways, um, yeah. Anyways, what was I gonna say?
Folks, we're wide open, as you can see, and we can stick around 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. Will Miami get a football stadium if they join the? No. There will not be an on-campus stadium. They're not going to. Miami-Dade County Parks and Rec, who I have worked with in multiple professional capacities, is not going to sell the land in Tropical Park or anything, which is, if there were to be one in the general area near to Coral Gables, Tropical Park is like the perfect location. But Miami-Dade County Public Park, was it Miami-Dade County Parks and open spaces? Yeah, they're not. No. Anyways, I will go back to official visits this weekend. Got a bunch. Nolan Wilson from Picayune, Mississippi, a big defensive end. Jaquez Wilkes from Wadley, Alabama, another C-ball, get ball guy. Ashari Charles from Venice, another big C-ball, get ball guy. Vance Spafford, slot receiver from California, committed to Georgia. That make sense. Jason Lopez from Chaminade, slot receiver and very nice point guard on the basketball team. Both he and Calvin Russell want to play both sports in college, wherever they go. And I think might have the skills. As I said on another show that I do, to get Calvin Russell, the football player, on Miami's roster, I am throwing Calvin Russell, the basketball player, Jason Lopez, the football player, and Jason Lopez, the basketball player, under the bus, off a cliff. Don't really care. Yeah, I think of the four people that, those two embody, Russell, the football player, Russell, the basketball player, Lopez, the football player, Lopez, the basketball player, Russell, the football player. Give me that. And Tyson Tracy, bringing that up. Thoughts on Lopez? I hear he's the best in Florida. I don't necessarily agree. I think that he's very good, and I think he's going to be a very good player for a power forward type of a team. This is a guy who can play at this level. He's not somebody who's like, he's not a Nepo baby. Like, oh, he happens to be the son of a No. He can play at this level on his own accord. He's very, very good. He might be, if you're talking current skill, I think he might be among in the conversation for best current player. I think guys like Samorian Wingo from St. Augustine are on that list as well. Saying D Money and Pete said that he was in their book. That is, something that other people can think. And we can disagree without being disagreeable. That's what they evaluate, or that's what they believe to be true. I don't necessarily hold that same viewpoint, and that's not a slight to them or to me. It's just we look at things a little bit differently, and that's okay. Is Jason Lopez, both, is Jason Lopez Charlie Ward level? Well, I don't think that he's going to win a Heisman in football, so maybe not. But I definitely think, I think he can hoop. He does a lot of very nice things. He has a tight handle, crafty with the ball, very good in the PNR, start pick and roll game. From what I saw, definitely nice. Definitely nice. Now, I'm not sure exactly what his role would be in Miami basketball, but I think he can play here. So take that for what it's worth.
Paolo showing up with this one. We appreciate the contribution, sir. Outside of wide receiver, what are the three position groups Miami has to do a better job recruiting in the next couple of years since Mario got hired?
Quarterback. I think that we're on the right track. I just think that it needs to continue with the Luke Nickel, with the Darion Coleman, and then moving forward. I think linebacker, and we're seeing a lot. The blueprint for what they want at linebacker has continued to change for 15 years. And we're seeing the guys now that Heatherman's recruiting and getting in the transfer portal are very different from the, from Guidry, from Manny Diaz, from, even beyond that, Kevin Steele with the program. You know what I mean? Like all these, like it's been very, it's very noticeably different right now. So I think we need to settle on that. So quarterback, linebacker, and defensive back. I'm not going to separate it by corner and safety. I think it would be, if I had to, it'd be corners more than safeties. Although there has been like a little bit of a lapse at safety, which is why we had to go out and, pay people in the portal, which is what it is. But yeah, quarterback, linebacker, defensive back, those are the ones. You're getting big dudes close to the ball on both sides of the ball. Offensive line, best recruiting class in America. Boom. Defensive line, very strong start. Probably going to get a lot of guys there. You have, you're building on top of getting multiple 5-stars and other blue chips in the previous years there. Tight end, been really, really strong, transitioning from Stephen Field since he left on-field coaching to the recruiting department, and Corey Woodle there. Tight end has been great. Matt Merritt at running back, low-key, might be the best recruiter on staff because that room stays stocked with talent, and you already excluded wide receiver. I don't know what else to say. Hey, really, I mean, it's just, it's really those three. So to wrap up, quarterback, linebacker, defensive back. But I think that we're going in the right direction for a lot of them, and we'll see.
For the times, folks, that you can't watch it, maybe you're in the car and YouTube doesn't connect, something like that. We're on your favorite audio platform. So every show with Cam and myself, Miami, the voice of college football, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, iHeartRadio, etc. This is a great question. I don't know if you want to table this one.
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah, because that's going to take some thought and evaluation.
Can we split this question as well? Because I would love to get your response to the ascension, but also the decline. What 3 moments keyed the ascension, and then also the post 2001, 2, 3, 4 range decline since? I'll even chime in on that one with not as much knowledge and intel, but
sorry, I was just taking notes here over next to me. So yes, got that. Mike 3883. It's a great question. It's just going to take a little bit more intentional focus to be sure that I give you some really good stuff with that.
Because of course this could be on the field or off the field.
Yeah. Oh Lord, see, John Kennedy went with Donna Shalala already. So anyways. Dave's here. Any Florida people seeing Charles Woodson Jr. play? I started to watch the huddle, and then I went back and watched Charles Woodson Michigan highlights, including the interception at Michigan State when he jumped 47 feet in the air on the sideline. Which, yeah. So I started along that path, and then I was actually on the phone with Fred talking about that, and then made a statement about Charles Woodson that I believe he might be the most decorated football player ever. Champion at every level, Mr. Football in Ohio, Heisman Trophy, NFL player, Defensive Player of the Year, first team all defense, Super Bowl, at every level, like,
yeah. If you include every level, yes.
You would be hard pressed. Now, I know people are going to say Michael Irvin won at every level also. Did. You are correct. He wasn't Mr. Florida or Mr. Football in Florida. He didn't win Heisman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just like the elite level. Yeah. So
he wasn't an MVP.
That. So it just got me in that mindset. And I started thinking about Charles Woodson Sr. But I will have to look more into Charles Woodson Jr. As we go through. Tyson Tracy, how's the kicking game going to look? Got a transfer in at kicker, and looking like he might win the job. And then we have Dylan Joyce at punter, who was one of the best punters in America already. So, but you do have a new snapper because Mason Napper, didn't mean to make that rhyme, but hey, it is what it is, has finally graduated and left Miami after 5 or 6 years and 2 or 3 degrees as a long snapper. So we will see about that. But yeah.
Make it on back next Wednesday, everyone, for Canes Live with Cam and myself, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And remember that if you missed any of the show tonight, all you have to do is zip on back to the beginning of the show and catch what you missed. What's going on at State of the U?
We have our summer scheming series, and we're going to have, other stuff, but Justin Tattavio already up there with the Miami Hurricanes self-scout. I believe he has already hit Notre Dame and maybe another one. Then Craig T. Smith and Robbie Weaver were talking about the baseball team that made a valiant run, but fell short in super regionals and did not make it to the College World Series. But with the way the season was looking in the middle of the season, that is a great achievement, and hopefully we continue that kind of performance and even greater moving forward.
Falconer TRX closing things out with, should Miami spend the money to go D1 in hockey?
No. I can think of many, many, many more worthy places in and around the University of Miami, and not even with the athletic department, but very much in the athletic department, where any of that money could otherwise be allocated. But I mean, yeah, why? The guys are still doing, the club team is doing what they're going to do. They're playing similar level teams and are the best of the bunch by winning the national championship. I think that they are good where they are, and any money, that would be allocated there could be better spent in sports that we already have.
Very good. Cam, appreciate it as always, sir. And we'll make it on back next Wednesday, everyone.
Absolutely. So we will see you then. You guys take care.